Hi, gang. Bob Boving here to bring you The Mystery Project and another new episode of Clean Sweep. Socializing around someone's kitchen table will nearly always net you some gossip. But Bonnie Marsden is the kind of cleaning lady whose ear and duster picks up that extra bit. Unspoken feelings, even vibrations. The play is called Prickly Porcupines. Deborah Allen and Richard Donat star as Bonnie and Ben Marsden.
Looks like it's going to be a sunny day.
Yeah, so much for the weather report.
My fault. I called the weather office and told them they owed me some sun for all those days suffocating in class. Looks like Darcy's going to sleep right through it.
You never let me sleep in.
Sometimes. When you start your Easter holidays.
Spring holidays.
Next week we'll let you sleep in.
Not as late as you let Darcy.
Darcy works night shifts when she's in the city, honey. She's on a different schedule.
On a different planet half the time.
Robert?
Look at the time. I gotta get going.
Wait up, Melissa. I'll walk you to your school bus.
I'm not afraid to walk by myself.
Yeah, but I am.
Huh?
Did you get your homework?
Yes.
Have a good day, Pumpkin.
I better get going, too.
Whose house you cleaning today?
2. I didn't plan it that way, but Mrs. Parker phoned in a panic, and I was already booked to do Flora and Elwyn Dodge. You know, with the big chicken farm.
Oh, yeah. When the wind's right, you can almost smell it from here.
So I called up Judy Barkos and asked if she wanted a day's work. Well, between the two of us, we can do both places in one day.
And keep the customers satisfied.
You got any work on today?
Nope.
Well, then remember you said that since Robbie's home for March break, you'd try and take advantage of the early thaw and replace those rotted-out fence posts?
That's what I was planning to do today. Why do you think I was thinking of creosote when you came home last night?
Did you coat them twice?
Yes, I have planted fence posts before. Dang it, Bonnie. If you're always telling people to do what they was just about to do anyway, you end up thinking nobody'd ever do anything if you didn't tell them to.
Well, sometimes you forget things.
Yeah, everybody does.
I guess I'm stalling. I can't say the day I clean the Dodges is my favorite day of the month. I'm kind of hoping they're finished breakfast and back out in the barn by the time we get there.
Why?
They get kind of snippy with each other.
Oh.
Hello? Judy, I didn't recognize your voice. You sure do. No, it's all right. Just stay in bed and drink lots of hot lemon. Make sure Frank takes care of you. Thanks for calling. Damn.
Don't look at me. I got fence posts to wang.
Darcy!
Well, sit and help us finish off the coffee. We tend to kind of linger over breakfast since the last of the kids moved away to the city.
Flora, Elwyn, this is my daughter, Darcy.
Oh, hello, Darcy. Hi.
Yep.
And that's Fuzzy.
Oh, so am I. Fuzzy. Darcy's going to be helping me today.
Oh, it's nice to have your kids helping out.
Depends on the kids.
Well, sit. You take cream?
Thanks, but we should get started.
Oh, a few minutes isn't malingering.
A cup of coffee would be great. Just black, please.
Just a little milk, please.
Yep, black's fine on a young stomach, but... Well, I better flush out my innards before I flush out that breeding pen. Nice day like this, the old two-holer's better than stinking up the house.
Elwyn, we're having coffee.
Well, I ain't stopping you.
On your way to the barn, would you please look at that back deck? You'll see that porcupine has been chewing on that deck post again.
You been measuring it with a ruler or something? I thought you got aspirins when you were in town last week.
I'm sure I did.
Well, there's only 3 left. I only take but the 1 a day, and just because you said it was good for my heart. You've been eating them like candy for your monthly?
You know that stopped years ago.
Wouldn't know it by me.
You see, Darcy, Elwyn begrudges us having to pay your mother once a month. But I've got enough to do with doing all the bookkeeping and packing flats of eggs and mixing feed and mothering the incubator. Besides, I've worked 18 hours a day all my adult life. I deserve a bit of a rest from time to time. Don't you think so?
No, everybody deserves a bit of a rest.
In fact, if we sold the farm and our quotas before NAFTA makes the quotas worthless, we could retire to a house in town, go to Florida every winter. But Elwyn keeps saying he's too young to retire, and we'll be able to travel to a lot more places than Florida if we keep putting away our RSPs for a few more years. Always a few more years.
Well, I guess we'd better get started.
And I'd better go to the little girl's room before putting my muddy boots back on. Oh, don't bother vacuuming out my bedroom. I did it yesterday. But Elwyn's room will be a pig pen as usual.
See you next week, Mrs. Parker. Well, I warned you she was fussy.
Fussy? I thought I was going to have to put on white gloves to clean under the sink. Though, if I was given a choice, I'd rather have you clean Mrs. Parker's than the Dodges.
Oh? They seem a little snippy with each other?
They? He practically burped in her face.
Oh, she gets her own back. She got you on her side, didn't she, after he'd gone out?
It's hard not to be. He's just so damn...
Crude? He probably wasn't so much like that to begin with. Just started laying it on thicker when he saw it got to her. My father does it too sometimes, when he sees somebody's looking at him like an ignorant country bumpkin.
Is that how Dad gets to you?
That? No, it's when he... We're not talking about the same thing, Darcy. At least I hope we're not. Everybody living together gets under each other's skin sometimes. But that's not the same thing as when that becomes the whole point. To score stings on each other.
Why would they stay together?
30 years of living and working together. That's a big investment. And it becomes a routine. People build up calluses. And without the kids there anymore to buffer things.
Oh, that's what we are now. Buffering.
Oh, everybody's a pill from time to time.
I don't think you're right, Mom. About Flora Dodge playing meek just to get me on her side.
I didn't say she was playing. She believed it at the time.
Anyway, why would Flora Dodge give a damn whether or not I'm on her side?
To score points.
But Elwyn wasn't even there.
Doesn't matter. She gets to add up the points regardless.
If you say so.
Watch your hand there.
I'm watching.
You know all those years you were growing up?
Oh, I'm all grown up now?
Well, legally. All those years your mother got to air out most of her bossiness at the credit union. That's what they paid her for. Now she's got no one to boss around here but me and Melissa.
Well, 7-year-old girl could do with somebody telling her what to do.
Well, so can a 47-year-old man. Sometimes. You see, if everybody that offers to do something helpful for you gets told, you have to do it exactly the way I would do it or don't bother doing it, eventually people stop bothering to even offer. And then you naturally start bitching that no one around you ever shows any initiative.
I haven't heard Mom doing any bitching.
I mean, in her mind. Once you're tuned into the frequency, you can hear it across the hill. When you're all grown up and married, Robbie, you'll learn that everybody gets on each other's nerves from time to time. If it's not something worth fighting about, just walk away. Go paint the barn or change the oil in your truck.
How's my fence mender?
You awake yet?
Almost. You still got all your fingers?
Almost.
I'd say we're done for today. There was a pizza coupon in the mail. Me and Robbie figured we'd split the difference and save you the trouble of cooking supper.
Oh, I put those pork chops out to thaw.
Well, we can have them tomorrow.
I'm going to make meatloaf tomorrow.
You know, one of these days somebody's going to say to you, how about we do this? And you're not going to say, I got a better idea. And I'm going to drop down in a dead faint.
He always gets grumpier when he hasn't had work for a while.
Oh, I think he's gone to paint the barn.
What?
Morning. It's morning, everybody. Morning.
I guess it's morning.
Didn't she set the clock?
No need, as long as Melissa's in the broom ball playoff.
Well, if she wakes up Darcy, she's going to get more than a little broom ball.
XJ55, Issaquah Village Fire Department. Firearms accident. Dodge Farm.
Oh, hell.
Melissa, get out of the hallway. Your dad's on a call.
A firearms accident?
That's all the pager said. Your dad gets 2 or 3 calls a year like that. Just about every house in the county has at least 1 or 2 hunting rifles in it.
Where's Dad?
That was fast.
Melissa gone to school yet?
A few minutes ago.
That's good.
Like some coffee?
Please.
And some bacon and eggs?
Not just yet.
That was a short call.
Yeah, well, the 911 got relayed automatically. But it turned out to be more a matter for the undertaker than emergency response.
My God.
I would have still been there. But Reed said he'd stay with Flora, so I caught a ride back with the second truck.
With Flora?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, seems over the last few nights there's been a porcupine chewing away one of the support posts on the Dodge's back deck.
Flora was saying that just yesterday.
Last night, after Flora went to bed, Elwyn must have heard the porcupine and took his shotgun out to deal with it. Flora got woke up by the gunshot. Figured it was just Elwyn getting rid of Mr. Porcupine. Rolled over, went back to sleep. What had really happened was Elwyn's foot went through a rotten step down from the deck.
What a sin.
The shotgun went off and wounded him so bad he could only crawl a little ways and then bled to death. By the time Flora woke up and found him, the crows had already been at him.
Couldn't you hear him calling for help?
I wondered about that. Chilly night, all the doors and windows closed. Guess he was shot up so bad he could only whisper. And one of the guys that knew Elwyn Dodge a lot better than I did said it was no big surprise.
How's that?
Said Elwyn had been getting careless the last few months. Accident-prone. Trying to change a tire with a busted jack. Chainsawing with a rusted-out chain. Half electrocuted himself rewiring the incubator on a wet floor. Disconnect switch didn't disconnect. Just lucky it was only 110.
The incubator?
Yeah, the incubator.
Flora said the incubator was her department.
Well, I guess it was. Until it shorted out or broke down. Just like our little car's pretty much your department until it needs to get patched together for a safety sticker.
You say Elwyn bled to death?
Yeah.
Aspirin.
Huh?
Prevents blood clotting. You remember yesterday, Darcy? When Elwyn was wondering what happened to all the aspirin?
So? He said he only took 1 a day.
I think all Mom's saying is, from what Dad said, it sounds like this guy's been having a lot of accidents lately.
It happens all the time. Farm can be a dangerous place to work.
Yeah. Farm accidents are so common, nobody thinks twice it might not be just an accident. What day's the funeral going to be?
Well, it's a little soon for them to have got that sorted out yet. Probably Thursday or Friday, I guess.
We'll get the date and time posted in the paper, won't they? With the obituary?
Should do.
Well, even if her kids are all coming home, everybody'd be at the church for the service.
Bonnie, you're cooking up something where there's nothing to cook.
Robbie, are you still studying up on animal behavior even more than your forestry courses call for?
Yeah, still. Why?
I don't know why I let you talk me into these things. We're going to look pretty goddamn foolish if somebody stayed behind to lay out the funeral supper.
We'll tell them we just came to pay our respects.
Instead of going to the funeral?
Maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
Well, the sooner we take a look, the sooner we can get out of here. Now, come on, the back deck's out back.
Yeah, I guess it would be.
Let's see. There. That'd be the post she said the porcupine was chewing.
Looks like it could have been done with a raggedy chisel.
That's sort of what a porcupine's front teeth are like. Let me see. I'm sorry, Mom. It would take somebody a lot more expert than me to say whether it was a porcupine or your raggedy chisel. Sorry, Mom.
That's all right, Robbie. There's got to be some other... Look, that step looks different from the others.
Well, I guess it would. That's probably where Flora put a new board in place of the rotted and busted one after the Mounties finished taking pictures.
She probably burned the old one.
Well, that's what people tend to do with scrap lumber around here. Use it for kindling.
Strange they never painted the deck, just let it weather and rot.
Not that strange. Pressure-treated lumber after the first couple of years will have that rusticated old barn lumber look. It'll weather, but it won't rot. Not for 7 or 10 years, anyway.
Then how come that one step rotted out if it was all pressure-treated lumber?
It's been known to happen. A lot of people don't realize the pressure treatment only penetrates 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch. So if you cut off a piece of pressure-treated board and don't paint the end you cut, that end is just like any other piece of raw wood left open to the weather.
You've done a lot of woodworking, Darcy. How does lumber get pressure-treated?
I was working on antiques, Mum. Old Donald Fisher would have shot me if I'd asked him about pressure-treated lumber. Oh, I mean...
Ben?
I don't know that much about it. Different companies use different chemicals for pressure treating. Some use creosote, some a compound arsenic, and something else. Huh.
Robbie, do porcupines like the taste of creosote or arsenic?
Not without a lot of salt. Even if there was a porcupine with that strange taste, you wouldn't have to shoot him. Just find him dead in the morning.
Just find him dead in the morning. All she'd have to do is find a rotted-out piece of real old barn lumber. That same rusticated look, and that afternoon while he was busy with the chickens, replace the pressure-treated step. But she'd still be leaving too much to chance. Unless... I'm going to call Corporal Qualchuk.
Well, do it from home. We better get out of here, and I've got a training course at the fire hall in half an hour. Hello? Looks like the kids are asleep already.
That was a long training course?
Well, the training part was a little longer than it was supposed to be. We were practicing with the jaws of life, and the junker we were set up to practice on was an old Honda. Well, John McGuigan's fixing up an old Honda to sell. So we just got set up to start when John yells, "Wait a minute!" And we had to wait while he stripped off the chrome and the door handles and the side mirror. Then once we finally got finished with the training, we had to go back to the fire hall for a couple of beers.
A couple?
Well, I looked around the lounge and realized there were 3 other members of the membership committee there, and we ain't had a quorum in months. So I convened a meeting. Joanne Kelly's a full member now.
About time.
Well, there never was much question about it. She's stronger and smarter than most of the guys. Just you can't do much without a quorum. Hey, Qualchuk call you back?
Mm-hmm. Not long after you left. You remember I said it still sounded like Flora would have been leaving too much to chance?
Well, from all the accidents Elwyn has been getting into lately, seems like she'd already almost had it more than a few times.
All the more reason she'd want to stack the odds as much as possible this time.
Huh.
I figured that even with such an obviously accidental gunshot death, there'd have to be at least some kind of autopsy. Any kind of violent death. Corporal Qualchuk was kind of reluctant to answer my question at first. Regulations. But
if everybody knew how many things you'd found out around here that he couldn't, you'd have his job.
Even a just a formality autopsy showed something that Corporal Qualchuk didn't see any good reason in making public. It just would have been cruel. Even though Elwyn had been a hunter all his life and knew how to be careful with guns, all his experience and carefulness wouldn't have made any difference that night, because he had enough alcohol in him to float a battleship.
Huh. I never heard of Elwyn Dodge being any more than a social drinker.
Once somebody's had 1 or 2 of their normal drinks, they don't notice if you start pouring them stiffer.
That's so.
There was also a lot of aspirin in him, enough to not just slow down his blood clotting, but to make him even fuzzier than the alcohol alone. The coroner figured Elwyn must have had a bad headache and kept popping pills.
Maybe he did.
There were only 3 left in the jar that morning.
Well, maybe he went to town and got another jar if he felt a headache coming on. I mean, I grant you all the rest, and I could see how he wouldn't notice her stiffening his drinks. But I think he would have noticed her grinding up pills and mixing them in.
She wouldn't have to. I don't know exactly how she did it, but what I'd do is dissolve a bunch of aspirin in water and freeze it into ice cubes.
You would?
I guess it happened sort of like this. Flora and Elwyn had finished supper and the evening chores and were sitting around the kitchen. Flora on her side of the table and Elwyn on his. Well, maybe Elwyn was playing solitaire or something, just to pass the time before he went to bed.
You gonna lose some cards on this deck again?
Red Jack on the Black Queen.
As sauce.
I'm getting up anyway. I'll fix you another rum and coke.
I ain't finished the last one yet.
Well, I can't pour you another until you finish that one.
Oh. Here you go. How many damn red queens are in this deck anyway?
Same as there's always been. Here you go. There it is again.
There's what again?
The crunching sound. That porcupine chewing on our back deck. Listen.
I don't hear no crunching.
That's because you're too drunk to hear anything. Even too drunk to take down the shotgun and shoot a slow-motion porcupine who's chewing away that deck post so much that one day I'm going to step out there to hang your laundry and the whole deck's going to collapse under me.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me, too. I can spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair while you shovel every ounce of chicken crap that has to be shoveled around here.
Drunk? I ain't never been too drunk to hit a goddamn porcupine with a shotgun.
Yes, Fuzzy. Aren't you going to jump up and warm Mummy's tummy?
Damn storage lost. I'll take a hammer to you if you don't.
You can do it. You're not that old yet.
All right. To be sure. Well, the little bastard in Halifax.
There, you see? That's my girl. Yes, honey, you still got a lot of good years left in you.
There. I ain't never been too damn drunk to hit a goddamn porcupine with a shotgun.
Just because you're getting a little gray around the ears doesn't mean you're ready for the rocking chair yet.
Stop.
You really think she could hear him?
Yeah, I do. But not for long. Like you said, and Corporal Kwalchuk said, Elwyn lost a lot of blood fast.
Must have seemed like a long time to Elwyn.
Corporal Kwalchuk felt kind of foolish that he didn't think of the pressure-treated deck.
Well, nobody would they? Nothing to sniff around for, just a straightforward accident. It's funny that nobody but you got the idea Flora might have been feeling murderous toward her husband.
Well, I'd had to spend time in their home and see what they were like with each other. And then when you told me Elwyn had been having a lot of accidents lately.
Uh-huh.
Corporal Kwalchuk said he'd bring in an expert from the Wildlife Service to examine the so-called porcupine bites on that deck post tomorrow, before Flora has a chance to get it replaced. A little material evidence, ample opportunity, and anybody that knew the Dodges can testify that Flora had plenty of motive.
Oh?
She wanted to cash in the farm, and he didn't.
Oh, that kind of motive. If she could have just got a divorce and got her half.
You've seen what happens with fought-out divorces. Whatever's being fought over all goes to pay the lawyers. And this way she could cash in double.
Funny. A couple of the guys on the training course had been to the funeral. They said Flora looked really sad.
She'll have plenty of reason to feel sad tomorrow.
Well, from what the guys were saying, she looked pretty sad already. Kind of lost. Maybe she's a good actress.
Not necessarily. Maybe she didn't expect. Well, even if somebody drives you so crazy, sometimes you forget why you married them. After 25 or 30 years of seeing the same face across the breakfast table, I guess you would feel kind of lost if one morning it suddenly wasn't there.
Glad to hear you say that.
Just heard Prickly Porcupines, written by Elf Silver, the newest episode of Clean Sweep. In the cast, Deborah Allen was Bonnie Marsden, and Richard Donat was her husband Ben. The others in the cast were Ryan Rogerson as Robbie, Ashley Swain as Melissa, Genevieve Steele as Darcy, Sharon Timmons as Flora Dodge, and Alan McGillivray as Elwyn Dodge. The music was composed by Scott McMillan and David McIsaac, and was performed by Gordon Stobie, Jamie Gaddy, and Andre Lacroix, along with the two composers. The recording engineer was Pat Martin. Sound effects, Dermot Kenny. The associate producer was Peggy Hemsworth. Casting was by John Dunsworth and Alex Duncan. Our coordinating producer is Barry Morgan. Clean Sweep was produced and directed in CBC Radio's Halifax Production Center by Bill Howell.